Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Yeah. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host. And as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you guys had a phenomenal week. It was a long week for me, guys, so, but we're here. We made it to the weekend. We made it to college football playoff weekend, more specifically. Got a ton of things to talk about in the world of sports, guys. I can't wait to get to it. But first things first, thank you for all those who are listening. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope that I'm giving you some information that'll be able to help you guys out in your navigation of sports and entertainment. You guys know there's always a sense of magic in the air around this time of the year. It could be the Christmas spirit. It could be the college football gods. Who knows what it is, but, obviously there's no Gator football this week, so I'm watching the SEC championship game and the ACC championship game. We saw Texas wrap it up in their championship game against Oklahoma State. Big blowout there. Tulane is also playing SMU. So I've been bouncing around watching a bunch of games. But right now I'm watching the SEC championship game. Alabama seems to be in control right now, 17-7 early in the third quarter. So, we'll keep you updated on that, guys, for sure. But this has been a good game so far. Been a good game. There's always the big possibility of Alabama, winning outright. It's Alabama. It's Nick Saban. What do we expect, guys? And they've earned their way to be in this title game, and they're doing very well so far. Like I said, early third quarter, 11 minutes, 37 seconds to go, 17-7 ball game, guys. So let's go ahead and get into Florida sports, though. Just want to give you a quick update on that, just in case you haven't been able to see it or anything like that. That's what's going on there. And then, of course, ACC championship game. We'll talk about that one in a little while when we talk about Florida State. But first, let's get jiggy with it, and let's start with the NFL as we normally do, guys. In the NFL, it's right now it's really weird, right? So like, if the roles keep on going the way that they're going, I'm trying to find the right words to utilize here. The Buccaneers are going to have a top 7 pick, okay? Honestly, if it gets any worse than this, we'll have a top 5 pick, okay? So I've been seeing a ton of names running around, and I know you guys are thinking like, oh, Corey, you're starting off with talking about the draft already? Listen, guys, if you haven't seen the Buccaneers play football this year, let me tell you something. It's pathetic. And it's not because of the people you think it's because of, okay? It's not because of Baker Mayfield. He's not the problem. And it's not because of Rachaad White. He's not the problem. The problem is this team has absolutely no dog in it, okay? Well, okay, there's a few players with the dog in them, right? Like Mike Evans, Baker, Chris Godwin, Rachaad White. Some of these guys we see just go out there and put it all on the field every single week, right? But then we're looking at some players who lost that dog in them. A lot of them are on defense too, guys. On defense, all right? That seems so weird. I was just watching the Buccaneers road to that Super Bowl a few years back. And one thing that we had was just a scary defense. Like, I really feel like if you were playing that Buccaneers team, you were probably like, dang, man, that's a good defense they got. D-line is good, secondary is good, safeties are outstanding, linebackers outstanding. Now I feel like people are playing Tampa Bay and they're just like, oh, just play action, bro. Are you kidding me? Run the ball a couple of times, a little play action, get the linebackers freezing. Devin White can't make a tackle. He's playing injured. I don't even know why he's on the field. Secondary's a joke. Antoine Winfield Jr. may be Defensive Player of the Year, but then that's it. There's nothing else in that secondary at all. Like, I personally wouldn't feel secure taking this secondary to a high school state championship game, bro. I'm pretty sure some high school teams are probably going to be able to beat it. And yeah, you asked a great question there. Is there a concern that the Panthers might come in and steal one tomorrow? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason is simple. There's actually really two reasons. One, our defense has zero what do you call that, stamina. Okay, so what I mean by that is watching this team play, one thing that's been evident is regardless of how long that they're on the field, this Buccaneers defense just get tired. They just get tired and they never recover. It's like imagine you have people who go run 3 miles a day, right? Now imagine a normal person trying to walk 3 miles a day, right? Not like a non-athlete person trying to walk 3 miles a day. To them, it's going to be this hard thing that they have to do where they feel like they're going to die afterwards, whatever the case may be. When you put people who aren't athletes in athletic situations, you see a level of weakness that gets unveiled after they run, after their lungs are gone, right? As soon as the lungs go out, so does everything. They got to sit down, they got to continuously drink water, they're overheating, this, that, and the third. That's what Tampa Bay looks like when they play football. Especially late in the second half, okay? It's like they go in at halftime and they just drank Coca-Cola or something because they are completely dehydrated. And when I mean dehydrated, I mean the lack of enthusiasm, okay? And that was never more evident than watching them lose to the Colts, who didn't even have Anthony Richardson at quarter. Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. I won't take anything away from him, but we shouldn't be losing to Gardner Minshew. Let's just be 100% honest, right? Let's look in the mirror and take responsibility. Should the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be losing to Gardner Minshew? No. So why are they? Well, as it turns out, okay, the good news is the offense was rolling a little bit. And by offense, I mean a few players. Mike, Rashad White, Chris Godwin. Everybody else, I don't know what these guys are doing. I mean, hey, Payne, Durham had a decent catch, which should have been a touchdown. Cade Otton also had a decent, catch as well in the game. But we need a lot more guys to show up. Let's just call it what it is. We need some guys to show up, and we need them to show up on both sides of the ball. All right, let me stop crying. Let's talk about what's really going on here. Okay, so here's the deal, right? The Buccaneers have 4-7 record. They're getting ready to host the Panthers. The Panthers are a 1-10 team. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's a conference division game. This team is 1-10. Okay, what does that mean? This team sucks. All right, they're terrible. Just fired their head coach Frank Reich. For those of you who do not know, Frank Reich was the backup quarterback. Okay, for Jim Kelly and the early 1990s Buffalo Bills team that lost 4 straight Super Bowls, okay? So I don't know if it's a Frank Reich thing. I mean, yeah, okay, so he led the greatest comeback in NFL history against the Oilers in 93. Get 32-point comeback, they win that game 41-38. He's not channeling any of that. Or he was not, I should say, channeling any of that when it came to coaching this Panthers team. Albeit this Panthers team is very young, got rid of a lot of pieces all over. DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. They've just gotten rid of so much. But listen, here's the thing. This is a professional job. Okay? So I can't make excuses. I can't make excuses for anybody. And I'm not going to make excuses for Todd Bowles. Okay? Todd Bowles is in the same position as Frank Reich. There's absolutely no reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should be 4-7. That record should be reversed, for first things first. Secondly, Todd Bowles, having played in the San Francisco 49ers scheme that saw them go to multiple Super Bowls in the 80s and the late 90s, and ultimately also have 3 of the best quarterbacks in the league during that time period, Joe Montana, Steve Young, and Steve Bono. It's really ridiculous to see people with these pedigrees, with these NFL histories, coaching teams and doing this poorly. It's just inexcusable, okay? Meanwhile, you got people like Kirby Smart, who's the head coach of, Georgia Bulldogs, and they're beaming for their 3rd national title, okay? And he played for them an eon ago. All right, I'm pretty sure dinosaurs were still roaming when he was playing for them, okay? So you get what I'm saying? There's good coaches and there's bad coaches, all right? And right now, Frank Reich and Todd Bowles, 2 of the worst head coaches we've seen. Todd Bowles is second stint at head coach, also was defensive coordinator multiple times throughout the league. I think at best that's what he is, but I can't look at him and say, wow, this guy's a great head coach. All right, guys, Georgia big play, 40 yards downfield, 40, 45 yards, deep connection as they move into field goal range on a deep ball, looking to try and make this game a 3-point game. Just heads up right there, guys. But so this game tomorrow got flexed to a 4:05 start time. Why? I'm sure I don't know. Maybe the writers have something dramatic. Maybe they want 2 of the worst teams in the NFL to, be on NFL Network for Game of the Week or something. I don't know. But whoever's script writing right now, write this into the script. The Buccaneers and the Panthers suck. Okay, the NFC South is a dud. This is a terrible, division right now, and I honestly am at the point where, as a fan, I'm saying I want my team to succeed. Of course, I want to see Baker do good. I want to see Mike get his grand. I want to see Chris Godwin get a grand. I want to see Rashad White do his thing. But at what point do I look and say, okay, we got to talk about the future here? Like, I mean, go ahead, guys. If you're gonna lose, lose. Just freaking do it. Because at this point, the upcoming draft right now is going to be very, very, very influential on the near future. Really, the last few drafts all have been. This one, a quarterback field draft, but not to be shy about the other positions. There are going to be a ton of wide receivers. There's going to be quite a few good running backs coming out as well. And there are going to be some defensive studs coming from all over the country, okay? And I mean literally from California over to the East Coast and Florida, okay, guys? So this is something to look forward to for next year. But this year right now really seems to be like we're paying the price for winning that Super Bowl a few years back with Tom. That's really what it feels like, and that's exactly what it looks like. Now, as I mentioned before, the Bucs lost that game to the Colts. The score was a 27-20 ball game, so another one-score ball game. I think out of the 7 losses that we have this year, I believe like 5 of them are one-loss ball games or one possession ball games that we've lost. So, you know, that's one of those things where just like in baseball, you would hear me preach, we got to win those run ball games. This is the same thing here that we're talking about Tampa Bay. This is similar to what's happening to Minnesota as well. If you guys are following Minnesota, they've also been experiencing a lot of one possession ball games. And so, you know, that's what it comes down to. The following game is going to be against the Falcons. Falcons are also terrible. They're 5-6. They're 1 game ahead of us. That game's going to take place Sunday, December 10th at 1 p.m. Guys, that game, I don't know. If the Buccaneers lose that game to the Falcons, you know, they're pretty much going to secure a top 5 spot because a lot of these other teams have games that they can win to where they can get over that 4-game marker. I don't think the Buccaneers have an easy schedule coming up after that. Of course, we still got to play the Panthers a second time. We still got to play the Saints a second time. The Saints are most likely going to get the rematch. The Panthers, just depends on how this game goes. If they win today, they'll win the next game as well. So there you go. That would be the equivalent to adding, 3-4 more losses to the record, which would then put us at, 4-11? Now, that's worst case scenario, right? Bucs could easily just come in here, play good football, win, you know, against the Panthers, and also beat the Panthers a second time, putting them in prime position to possibly win the division by having to do left is beat the Saints. But again, we have to ask that question, is that what we even want? I mean, we already have 7 losses on the season. At best, if we were to win out, the record would be 10-7, and we'd be facing a team that in odds are is probably going to be sitting around a 12-game win mark with a lot more experience under their belt. Is that something we want to do? Make the playoffs, get a first-round exit, and then miss out on getting one of these top-tier quarterbacks when you're drafting at 19-ish? You see what I'm saying, guys? Like, that's the real question that you got to ask yourself as well as a fan, and I think if you're the Buccaneers organization. But as a whole, Todd Bowles' time in Tampa Bay is done. They may let him get to the end of the season because that's something the Glazers are usually doing. But in my humble opinion, if we lose to the Panthers, he's fired immediately. Like, I don't even think you can really wait till Monday to do it. I mean, sure, you probably could, but I think at the crown of that disappointment, I'd rather just put it on his back and let him walk out the door with it, in all honesty. What position do you see Tampa Bay focusing on in the draft? You know, that's a great question, my friend. I really think that obviously you got to go out and draft a quarterback. The Buccaneers suffered, or not Buccaneers, but Baker Mayfield specifically suffered an early injury in that game against the Colts last week, and they opted not to bring Trask in by virtue of the fact that Trask just does not have a grip on this offense. Maybe it was just too different from the offense that he played at Florida. But regardless of it, Trask is at a point where he's going to walk after this season. I don't see why Tampa Bay would keep him if they don't feel comfortable putting him in. Especially when you're facing a team that's also down their starting quarterback, okay, who's way more gifted than your backup. So I think they got to focus on the draft. The name that I've been seeing swirling a lot is Jaden Daniels. I'm not a big fan of how LSU has played football this year, especially because when they didn't have the refs in their pocket, they couldn't really win against good teams. But I'll say that Jaden Daniels has played very well. He destroyed my Gators. So that's something that doesn't surprise me that they're saying. But what I don't want to do is another Jameis Winston situation. We're going out and we're thinking we're getting the best fit for the team because of how well he played in college instead of looking at what he has progressionary-wise. Jaden Daniels has been phenomenal against bad teams. But how has he been against good teams? And when you're in college and you have 3 losses and they're all the good teams, you're going to sit there and say, okay, well, does that translate to the NFL? Because look at C.J. Stroud, who played at Ohio State. He was clearly the best player on the field when he was in Ohio State. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, like, it didn't really matter who they played. He was always the best player. Now, whether they lost games or not may have come down to them not having defense, right? Or them not being able to score, at a pivotal time. Versus a team where, flat out, they played, Ole Miss, Alabama, and who else did LSU lose to? Florida State. And they just lost by virtue of the fact that they just didn't have the best player on the field. So I think that The Buccaneers do need to extensively look at quarterbacks and see what they can to get one of these better quarterbacks out here. Who they're going to go after, like I said, I've seen a lot of Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams, a great option. May as well. I don't know if they're going to trade up in the draft to acquire something like that, simply because odds are with the way it. Well, let me say this. It depends on the Buccaneers' rest of the schedule, okay? It depends on how they perform the rest of the year, because I feel like, obviously, if they're able to, make the playoffs or something, like somehow win the division, that now you're in a situation where it's like, okay, you're probably not going to get one of those top quarterbacks, and if you have to trade up, you're probably going to have to give up something important. I don't know if it would be worth it at that point. Right? I don't know. Because there are other positions that this team needs help in, right? So say, for instance, we're drafting at 19 and the best linebacker or the best defensive back or the best safety still on the board. All right. I just go ahead and take that pick there because we need the help anyway. I think that happened with the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years back when they drafted, was it Minkah Fitzpatrick? I think that's who the Steelers drafted. And they were just sitting in a position where, like, okay, Minkah's there. Why would we not get him? And I really feel like that's, worked out for them because look how well he's played over, of course he's been injured, of course. But he's played very well. And I think that's an example of where Tampa Bay may be at when it comes to this draft. This draft is going to be everything for them. As I said before, the Buccaneers don't really have an out. Even if they win the division, they're going to lose in the first round. So that's just a depressing thing when you know that that's the case, and it really begs to differ of what they're going to do. Same thing with Brock Bowers as well. Should Brock Bowers be there in the first round, late in that first round, I don't see why Tampa Bay wouldn't grab him. But that's in the event that we win the division. That's in that event. I don't think we're going to win the division. I think the Saints are going to win it. They're the better team right now. They're just the better team. A little bit more continuity. The better defense, of course, and things like that. Just they really matter as the Georgia Bulldogs knocked through a field goal to tighten the score at 17-10. 8 minutes, 51 seconds left to go as Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide are going to get the ball back. I really feel like if the Crimson Tide win this game, they're in. So, we'll see what happens, guys. We shall see what happens. Actually, I can't say that because Texas owns the tiebreaker on Alabama. So Texas would be in with Alabama in consideration if Florida State should lose today. So, dang. Let's go Louisville, I guess, right? I guess. I don't know. Anyhow. So, yeah, that's what's going on for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though, guys. Like I said, next game tomorrow against the Panthers. We are hosting the Panthers, so they're coming here to Tampa Bay. Weather's going to be great for the record. We're still beaming down here. I know it's December, and in some places are getting snow, guys. Down here, it's 80. It's 80. Sun's out. People wearing shorts and t-shirts. This is what it's like down here in Florida. I mean, it's basically a tropical island attached to the United States. So anyway, like I said, that game tomorrow, 4:05 p.m. They flex it to a late game. Why? I'm sure I don't know, but whatever. Go Bucks. And then the following game after that again against the Falcons. Falcons 5-6 record. Sunday, December 10th, 1 p.m. May the best team win. Both of these teams look bad, so may the best team win. Let's move on to the Jaguars. Now, here's the other important thing about what's going on in Florida. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the worst team in Florida. These other two teams, the Jaguars, the Fins, they're tied for the best record in the NFL. Okay, it's crazy. It's insane right now. So check it out. Jags repping the 8-3. Duval, stand up. You guys look good right now. Okay, 2-game win streak. Very, very nice. Next game versus the Bengals. Bengals still a dangerous team at 5-6. Maybe the most dangerous team at 5-6, guys. Joey Burr down there, or up there, I should say, in Cincinnati. And, the rest of his boys out there. So, Jamar Chase and them boys. I don't know what to expect in this game. I think the Jaguars are going to ride their momentum and win this game. They'll probably win it by a touchdown or a 10-point ball game. It'll be kind of close. There's no way that Joey B is just going to go down there and throw a duck. But that game's going to come to you in the form of a Monday night game, December 4th, 8:15 p.m. So that's going to be a nice little Monday night showdown. I personally can't wait to watch that game. I'm going to be flicking back and forth between, how I do it, Monday Night Raw. And what else? I think we're going to have some basketball, actually. I think we're going to have some basketball there on Monday, so that's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting to watch the rest of this season unfold for both of these teams because they're in two different divisions, but they're repping the same record, right? So with the Fins, though, against the Bengals, and then the Jags against the Bengals, the Fins are going to be playing the Commanders, so the Fins have an easier game, okay? The Fins are probably going to win their game outright. So that could change the balance in power depending on how the Jags play against the Bengals. But like I said, I think that the Jags are going to go ahead and take that one. They have a lot more continuity than the Bengals right now, a lot less injuries as well. ETN will be playing that game, so you're going to have your trusty running back in the backfield. And of course, T. Lawrence is going to hold it down at quarter. They were able to beat the Texans in a AFC divisional showdown there, AFC South divisional showdown to be more specific, 24-21. And now control their own destiny. So that's a really cool thing. 6-5 record. You know, the Texans were rocking there. I think they're on like a 5-game win streak or something, like 4 or 5 game win streak, which saw them beating the likes of Tampa Bay as well. But for the Jags, because they were able to beat the Texans, which is clearly the only other competition that they had in that division, they now control their own destiny. And all they have to do is just play well. All they got to do is win. You know, beat the Titans and beat the Colts. You know, I think no, they have to beat the Titans one more time, but they already beat the Colts twice, I think it was. I got to go back and look at that because I don't remember all three of them. I know San Francisco they lost to, and they lost to Kansas City. The other loss, I can't remember. So, anyhow, you get what I'm saying, guys. Like, the Jaguars, they control their own destiny. They're doing very well. All they got to do is just play good football and win. They'll find themselves at the top of their division. Somewhere probably around 12 wins for sure, maybe even more depending on how well they continue to play. Very proud of T. Lawrence and all those boys. They're playing great football. Great job, Jags. Now, their next game, all right, after the Bengals game. This is the game that's going to be very interesting. Okay, so remember when I said they were tied with two other teams atop the NFL, right? Well, two other teams are sitting at 8-3 and on top of their division. Specifically, one of them was the Ravens. Okay, so that game is going to be the following game: Jags versus Ravens. Again, both these teams currently 8-3. Ravens right now look like the best team in the NFL. In my humble opinion, I think this is the best team in the NFL. I think this is the team that has the most balance, the most continuity, in a very dangerous run game. Of course, Lamar Jackson looking like an MVP, which is, you know, not too far-fetched from how he was in college and high school for that matter. So this guy just absolutely balling out, looking absolutely phenomenal. And the Jazz game is going to be a very good game because if the game gets away from the Jags early, it'll be a runaway. The Ravens will absolutely destroy the Jags if that's the case. Jaguars are going to have to keep it close. They're going to have to use their ground game. They're going to have to control time of possession. I think team with time of possession will win that game regardless of turnovers, just due to the fact that how well these two teams are at running the football and how important that's going to be when that game comes across. If all else fails, if they lose that game, that'll probably be the last loss on their schedule. I imagine. I have to go back and look at it again, but I'm pretty sure that is the last highly ranked team, playing football at that caliber that I would consider the Jags losing to. Everybody else, these are games that they should at least be in. Maybe final possession takes it kind of game. But I really think that the Jaguars are in a smooth sailing mood after that Ravens game. Now, that game is going to be December 17th at 8:20 p.m. So get ready for that a little bit later, start time, that 8:20 p.m. spot. But hey, it's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to watching. Like I said, they have one of the best records in the NFL, along with the Fins and the Ravens. So looking forward to see, my bad, and I said the NFL, I mean the AFC, guys. I'm so sorry. Jesus Christ. Nonetheless, I'm looking very, very forward to watching that Jags-Ravens game. Going to be a great game. Now, the Fins, they have an easier game, as I mentioned earlier. They're going to play the Commanders. Commanders are rocking a 4-8 record, basically the opposite of what the Fins and the Jags are rocking. I don't see any way that the Commanders are going to win this game. The Dolphins are going to have most of their pieces back now. Jalen Ramsey has returned. That defense looks like a lot different, right? Which is kind of what we expected. Jalen Ramsey is clearly the best corner that they have on that team, besides Xavier Howard. That guy's a monster as well, actually. But realistically speaking, from the experience part, Jalen Ramsey he's been all over there. He's been in championship games. He's been in I believe he's already been in the Super Bowl. And so just things like that kind of stick out for him. And now that he's back, we saw him make a huge impact pretty much immediately last week. So he's probably going to continue that same stat line as the Commanders, still rocking with their rookie quarterback. So, this is going to be a hard game for them. This could be one of those games where Miami just kind of runs away with it, especially if the offense gets humming early. If they turn that engine on, they just start cranking, they just sitting there purring like a kitty, they're gonna do very well. So obviously I'm going to take them to win that game. And then the following game, they're going to go see the Titans. Obviously the Titans not playing good football at the moment right now, rocking 4-7 record. So this should be 2 wins. Miami should be at 10 wins. They could be the first AFC team to 10 wins, actually, the way that they continue to play football. If this offense continues to play as it's playing, I wouldn't be surprised to see Tua in that MVP conversation, especially with his stats looking as good as they do right now. Let's just call it like what it is. Sitting atop the AFC East. They're doing very good, so hopefully they'll continue that trend. And of course, beating the Jets last week, 34-13. So I mean, they're pretty much locking up their division within these 2 weeks, right? Because I believe they already have, if and when they win tomorrow, that'll give them 9 wins, 3 of which are already in their division, and then, they're going to see the other 3 teams, the Buffalo Bills, the Jets again, and the Patriots. The Patriots aren't playing good football either right now, so it's a gimme division right now for Miami. As long as Buffalo doesn't do anything dramatic and then Miami doesn't go crazy, this is going to be their division. So good job, Miami. Good job, Jags. Like I said, that following game, Miami versus the Titans, I should say, is going to be Monday, December 11th at 8:15. Why they made this a Monday night game, I don't know. I guess they thought the Titans were going to play better football. No. So that's what's going on there, guys. Let's go ahead and get our first break of the evening. When we get back, we'll go ahead and talk some college football. The tiniest bit of college football I have for you, since now the season is pretty much over. But after that, we'll talk NBA, college basketball, and then we'll wrap it up with some NHL. Keep it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What up, Boston sports fans? This is Mikey Two Guns here, your host of Our Bleepin' City, airing every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Please join me. We'll talk everything Boston sports, all the local teams, college teams. I'm even down to talk MMA, boxing, whatever you guys want. So join me every Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Chime in with your questions on the chat, tweet the show. We'll even have call-ins. I can't wait to hear from you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. So once again, it's Our Bleepin' City. I am your host, Mikey Two Guns, every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. See you soon, people.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio. The IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, guys. It's getting interesting here, all right? 3 minutes, 45 seconds to go. Georgia has the ball, but Carson Beck he suffered a finger injury. I don't know if it was a jam or if it's just like some bruising or whatever, but he was on the sideline. He had that thing wrapped up a little bit, kind of moving around, trying to get some feeling back going on in there. So I'm not 100% sure, but they have the ball right now inside their own 10-yard line. Moved it out to the 13-yard line, so we're going to see what happens here. Third down and 3, I should say. Alabama with a golden chance to get off the field with a lot of field presence right now as well. Force an incomplete pass or a turnover could really shift what's going on in this game right now. Georgia 3 of 8 on third down, so you know you're not going to win a game. That's not a Kirby Smart stat right there that you're accustomed to seeing. So very interesting here. All right, caught first down ball across the 20. Georgia moves the chains. Well, Georgia's Georgia, Alabama's Alabama, but here in Florida we have just one team that we're really going to talk about for college football, and that's FSU. Okay. I don't know what's going on with the Miami and the Florida Gators. We're just in some dark spots right now as universities, I think. Miami is doing a better job discovering themselves, but dealing with a lot of injuries, and also playing against the FSU team, which just suffered a tremendous injury to Jordan Travis, but nonetheless played a very good game against them. And, with a few minor adjustments, with a few more additions to that team, they could find themselves with a similar record to FSU and some of these higher-ranked teams. But until then, it is what it is. The Gators, on the other hand, the Gators just in a very destructive spot right now for a university. We suffered a loss of some decommits due to how we played against FSU at an important time where we had, big names watching us play. Performed very badly against FSU. And, oh my goodness, Georgia has fumbled. Alabama has recovered at the 10-yard line. Wow. Tried to get a little too cute, did Kirby Smart, with a little, what was this? Was this like a double reverse or something? I'm not exactly sure what took place, but there was a fumble on the snap. Not the snap, but the handoff after the snap. And now Alabama is in golden and prime position to strike again. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it looks like they were getting a little cute with the reverse option. All right, so it was a reverse option play, inside zone, flex outside, hand the ball off outside, but the outside receiver got there maybe a little too early. Alabama pounces on it. They're first in 10. I think they have a chance to get a first down probably at the 1. But first down and possibly goal. Hold on, I'll let you guys know in a second. First and 10, so they got a chance to get a first down at the 1 if necessary, and golden position to go ahead and strike and make this a 2-possession ball game. Well, the Gators, as I was saying, just in a very destructive spot right now. When you lose the way that you lose, you're going to lose decommits. You're going to have people look at the team and say, dang, why would I want to go play here with this lack of discipline, with this lack of camaraderie, and the inability for people to put their egos aside and play the game, right? And there's a terminology in the game called just play the game. And what people don't understand about that is, like, to the outside world, that may sound like an empty, loose cannon, mic drop kind of moment. Just play the game. No. When they say just play the game, it's like telling a military person, remember your training. Like, this is what you do, okay? This is what you do. You don't bowl or, fly an airplane, or you're not a clerk at Walmart. You're a ball player. So play your game. That's basically what coaches are telling their athletes when the situations like this happen. They want them to settle down and remember that this is what they do. And when you do what you do, good things happen, right? Like, think about it, guys. If you don't do what you do, do good things happen? No. We all have jobs. I'm a driver, right? I'm a transporter. So my job is to drive around the city, pick up cars and deliver them, pick up customers and deliver them, and vice versa. Do whatever it is my boss asks me to do, but it always involves cars, okay? I'm a good driver. It's what I do. All right? These guys are good ball players. It's what they do. And that's kind of what's going on there in the University of Florida. Although we do have some commits who are staying, quote unquote, due to the fact that they're trying to turn the organization around. They got to, get Florida back to its glory days. And that's why they got to stay. And my hat's off to those young men, those fellas, even the coaching staff as well, guys. Like, you guys got some serious commits coming your way. And next year should be different for the Gators. But all I can tell you is this. If it's not different, goodbye, Billy. And that's not because I don't like Billy. That's just what it is. This is the University of Florida. This isn't Temple or something like that. This is the University of Florida. One of the powerhouses in the SEC. So there's little excuse and reason why we should be finishing and not going bowling. Alright? That's just what it is. Was that a score? Let's see. Alabama, go ahead and punch it in right there. Let's see if that was actually a catch. Nope. Incomplete pass. Alabama selling for a field goal. Yep. 2-possession ball game, 20-10. Bama over Georgia. What is that? 48 seconds to go in the third, so about to hit the fourth. All right, now. Hold on, Bammy. Hold on, boys. Now, that was the reference for Florida, guys. Obviously, like I said, Kane's in the same exact position, just a year behind, but doing, slightly better than the Gators. They got a better defense, I think. That's probably like the biggest differential. They have a better defense. Graham Mertz, starting quarterback for the Gators, who was injured a couple of weeks back, is going to be returning for his 6th and final season. So, Billy Napier is going to have 2 phenomenal quarterbacks at his helm, all right? One's going to be a true freshman, DJ Lagway coming out of Willis, Florida. 77 all-purpose touchdowns. Just absolute monster. Hell of a season he had last year. Clearly, in my opinion, the best player coming out of high school, in my opinion, this year. So, I'm very proud of that commit. I'm very proud to see. I can't wait to see him especially after Jalen Rashada. That NI deal went south last year, and he went over to the Sun Devils and performed terrifically. So kind of a sigh of relief for the Gators there. So, but in any case, FSU is really what we're going to talk about, guys. So here's the deal with FSU, right? So FSU starts the season, gets to 10-0, loses Jordan Travis, okay? Their heart and soul of that team. The reason why that team is ticking like a clock, all right? Jordan Travis goes out, broken leg, nasty spill. I watched it live. It was not pretty at all. My hat's off to the kid. He was playing tremendous football, and I would have much preferred to lose to him instead of that other guy last week. But I mean, whatever. It is what it is. Florida State still the class of Florida, nonetheless. Best team in Florida at the moment, and they're gonna go bowling. We just don't know where yet. And this ACC championship game is gonna tell us when. They gotta play Louisville. Louisville's a decent team. Now FSU ranked 4, coming in with a 12-0 record. Should they win this game, in my opinion, they stay in that college football playoff hunt, showing that they can hang with the big dogs even without having their main quarterback, which is a big deal. However, should they lose this game, all right? Should they lose this game? Stay with me. Texas is going to slide in, right? The question after if Texas is going to slide in is who's going to slide in after them should something happen like Alabama beat Georgia. And I think it's got to be Bama, right? Like, I really think it's got to be Bama there. If Bama is to beat Georgia, Bama owns the tiebreaker on Georgia. Texas automatically slides in because FSU loses if they lose to Louisville, right? And that really presents a very interesting situation where you're going to have 2 undefeateds in Michigan and Washington, right? And then 2 one-loss teams with better wins on their records, right? Because Texas, our only loss was to Oklahoma, and then Alabama's only loss is going to be to Texas, I believe it was. So all these 2 teams could end up playing each other again, which would be just an absolutely phenomenal way to end the season, in my opinion. That's a great question too. Is there any chance that Ohio State comes before Texas? I think. That's a really good question now that I'm really thinking about it. I can't see them coming before Texas by virtue of the fact that if Alabama beats Georgia, Alabama's biggest win on the season will have been the number 1 team in the country, and then that means that Texas' biggest win on the season would be against the team that beat the number 1 team in the country, which is a very valid argument when your only losses to Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry on the final possession of the ball game, right? So I think that Ohio State didn't show me much against Michigan. I picked Michigan in that ball game to begin with. I don't like Ohio State. I can't stand Ohio State. But that's just a Gator Ohio State rivalry coming out of me. As a team, as a school, Ohio State's just phenomenal. One of the most storied colleges of all time. And I'll never take anything away from them in that regard. But after what I saw against Michigan, after what I saw earlier in the season against other teams, it really became clear to me that the reason why that team works is because of Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, they have other great players. But when you talk about, I need a first down, I need to go somebody, who am I going to? It's Marvin Harrison Jr. If you take Marvin Harrison Jr. off that team, I think that team has maybe 1 or 2 other losses on its record. And the reason is simple. The quarterback isn't in any conversation for being one of the best college quarterbacks right now. And we have one of the best wide receivers. It's cool. Like, we saw that with the San Francisco 49ers. When Joe Montana wasn't at quarter for the San Francisco 49ers, it became significantly harder for them to win when it mattered. Even though they had Jerry Rice and John Taylor and, Dwight Clark and all these other great players offensive utility-wise, if your quarterback, if the man who touches the ball every snap isn't on that level, it's not going to matter how good your receivers are. Look at Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, 2 of the very best receivers the league has to offer. And Baker Mayfield he's a good quarterback too, but he's no Lamar Jackson, you see what I'm saying? Like, he's not on that level. He's no Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. So I think that Ohio State doesn't really have the ability to skip Texas, but that's in that event, right? Like, that's in the event that Georgia loses this game and FSU loses to Louisville, because of course if Georgia's able to pull this game out and then FSU wins their ACC championship game, you're going to have 4 undefeateds. So, and that's unprecedented. I don't know if that's ever happened before for this college football playoff. It's been around for quite a few years now, like 6 years or something like that, maybe longer. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that at all. Like, we're gonna have to just wait and see. I think Ohio State has a good calling card, but I don't think that that just losing to Michigan was just whoever wins that game, right? Like, it usually always comes down to that same thing with SEC. Whoever wins Florida, Georgia, whoever wins LSU, Alabama. It's usually one of those games where winner takes that conference. And I don't really see a position where Ohio State gets in there. And if they do, they have to run it back against Michigan, who they had fits with. You got to play either Georgia or Alabama, and then that, I just don't see Ohio State beating an SEC powerhouse right now. I just don't, because we play defense. Like, other conferences don't play defense the way SEC does. So, and there's a lot of speed. A lot of speed on defense. So this could be a very interesting thing, but I couldn't put Ohio State in there, even though their only loss would be to Michigan. I just can't do it because I don't think that they have what it takes to really, think about it. Georgia played TCU last year, national championship game, and what was it, 65-7 or something like that? We don't want another one of those. We don't want one of these teams to just run away on the other team. We want to see what we're seeing right now, 20-10, or, what last night when Washington beat Oregon, was it 34-31 or something like that? That's what we want to see. We want to see the best teams duke it out, and I just don't believe very much in Ohio State. Their best win on the season was Penn State, I think it was, and I love my Nittany Lions, but Penn State's 9-2 this year. So yeah, I don't, not Ohio State. But I mean, crazier things have happened. Crazier things have truly happened. Like I said, TCU playing Georgia last year for the title was, in my opinion, a bad call, and we saw how that turned out. So, whatever they decide to do is what they decide to do. But again, FSU, has a good shot to get in there. All they got to do is take care of business of Louisville. Louisville's a good team, though. Decent defense, offense that can put it together when they need to. ACC championship game coming your way tonight at 8 p.m., guys. Make your picks. I'm going to go... I'm going to rock with FSU. I'm just going to rock with FSU on virtue of the fact that they were able to beat Florida pretty handily. And in all honesty, they could have scored more points. And the only reason why I didn't was because of penalties, actually. A few penalties last week that set them back a couple of times. And they gave their defense decide to play football when they decide to play football. So, we'll see what happens. Anyhow, Go Noles. I mean, for the sake of it all, just because they're the team in Florida, I don't really have I have a love-hate with Louisville. I don't really care for the college. I care for what they produce, but I don't really care for the college itself. And with a 10-2 record, that leaves FSU room to gather intel on how to beat them, and how to beat them is pretty simple. You got to run up the middle. You just got to run up the middle. You run up the middle, get that defense tired, and hold time of possession, hold the ball, you'll win the game. But that's what's going on there for FSU, guys. Perfect regular season, ACC championship game tonight at 8. Get ready to watch it. I'm going to be watching it, so be ready for that, guys. Let's go ahead and talk some NBA real quick. Got a little bit of that for you, and then we're going to slide on over to the rest of the show, guys. NBA is different, though. Both of our teams are doing pretty good, more specifically the Magic than the Heat. Now, typically, you'd be coming to me, you'd be hearing about the Heat playing phenomenal basketball. It's going to be about the Magic today, guys. But the Heat, with an 11-8 record right now, they actually lost a couple of games in a row before beating the Pacers last night, I believe it was. So they're, like I said, 11-8 Pacers, 9-8. Neither one of these teams really running away in the East, but they will begin to separate themselves, especially after this in-season tournament is finished. That game's going to be tonight at 8 p.m., so if you're looking for some Florida basketball to watch, it's going to be tonight, 8 p.m. That's definitely going to be the game to check out. The Magic, they're playing the Nets, so that's going to be a little bit different for them, and I'll get into that in a second, but I think that if you want to see a competitive game, watch the Heat and the Pacers. Last night's game, or my bad, was it last night or 2 nights ago? I get my nights mixed up, but the score of that game was 142-130, so that's very high scoring, right? No defense being played, just flat out getting to the bucket, hitting at the perimeter, getting baseline and squeaking by defenders, making buckets happen. That's pretty much what's been going on between these two teams. Literally no defense. If I know Eric Spoelstra, he's probably blowing, right, a gasket about this because he likes defense. He likes defensive basketball. He's been that way since he started. And they're not playing defense in Miami. So that's something that I look for them to tighten up, especially after they just snapped this 3-game losing streak by beating the Pacers. They're going to have to add on to that if they want to continue that good trend, going upwards instead of down. But they're going to have to get back to playing good defense at the end of the day. We're here early in the fourth quarter for this SEC championship game. Georgia just pointed the ball back to Alabama. Still 20-10 ball game. So, guys, I'll keep you updated on that as we continue to make it through the rest of the show. But the Pacers, like I said, not playing tremendous basketball. They've been very inconsistent, to say the least. So I imagine here are going to continue to try to take advantage of that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But defensively, they're going to have to get back and do better in transition because that's one of the areas that Miami's been struggling at recently is in defensively transitioning, I should say. They got to work on that, though, especially with Eric Spoelstra at the helm. He's not liking that one bit. I guarantee you he's drilling that right now in practice. Next game's going to be against the Raptors. That game's going to come in the form of Wednesday, December 6th, 8 p.m. ball game. So they get a little break, right? You get a couple of days off, 3 days off, and they're going to go see the Raptors December 6th. All right, so get ready for that game. It's also going to be 8 p.m. I'll be watching that game. I don't think I have anything else except for AEW to watch at 8 p.m. So I'll be keeping track of it on my app. So that's going to be a fun game to check out. But for the better team playing basketball in Florida right now, guys, now this is the one that's going to catch you, okay? The Orlando Magic, guys. The Orlando Magic are 14-5, okay? This is kind of crazy. Magic playing really good basketball. They were doing it behind tremendous defense. Now they're just outscoring their opponents. They're going to have to get back to that defense. What's up with Florida not wanting to play defense this year? It's kind of a trend right now. You know, nobody wants to play defense in Florida. But they need to. They need to get better on that end. But everything else seems to be going very well. 14-5 record. They're going to be playing the Nets. Nets rocking a 9-9. That game's tonight, 7 p.m. So that game's coming to an hour earlier than the Heat game. So you'll be able to get the first half of this game out of the way before you get into that Heat game if you want to watch both. If not, I completely understand. But check out the Magic. They're playing really good basketball behind a very young team. They've built this team up in the last 3 drafts with a lot of pieces that seem to be coming together and gelling very, very well. This is something that we're going to have to hope that it continues. They were able to beat the Wizards 130-125, so another high-scoring game, just as I was talking about Miami the night before. Very ridiculous that these scores are now reaching the level that they're reaching. I think it has to do with how tentative the league is right now, especially with calling fouls. The referees will definitely have their hand in a lot of these games, and it's very stressful to look at that and understand it. But at the same time, it's just a fact. You know, if you watch sports, you guys see it. It happens in the NFL, it happens in college. Like, think about it. Like, look at the Eagles, guys. And I'm not trying to be a hater. Yeah, I don't like the Eagles, but I'm not trying to be a hater. But, like, watch the Eagles play football, bro. If you watch the Eagles play football, it's like watching a spoiled kid at daycare. Like, you see a little competition around them, but you can see that their nose is up, and they're just that, they're not the redheaded stepchild. They're that baby that's just mommy and gets whatever they want, right? So that's kind of the vibe that the Eagles are giving off right now when they play football. I've watched a few of their games this season, and I wouldn't want to play against the Eagles by virtue of I don't want to get jumped by the Eagles and the refs. Like, I don't. So... but that, that's part of the business, I suppose. Script writers have that in their repertoire. Of course, for a while, there was, the Chiefs, which are still getting some love, but nowhere near as much as the Eagles. Maybe they want a repeat of the Super Bowl last year. Who knows? But that's something that you see kind of happen a lot. And I think that's something that's also happening in the NBA, especially when you watch certain teams play like Boston. They get a lot of calls. What's that other team? Not Milwaukee, but the other team in the East. Jalen Milroe goes down for a sack. Loss of 8. Not a good play right there. Should have got rid of that football there. Now 3rd down and long. Nick Saban crossing his arms, taking a deep side. 13 minutes, 15 seconds to go on the clock, guys. So yeah, there's a lot of teams that get some calls. Luckily the Magic and the Wizards aren't one of them, or the Nets for that matter. So these games should be all well thought out games coming to you in the next few days. But it is what it is. The Magic, though, for the record, for all that it matters, or to who it may concern, I should say, this team, is a 9-game win streak, okay? That's kind of unheard of for Magic basketball over the last few years. 9-game win streak, these guys are playing phenomenal basketball, all right? Like I said, it was behind great defense. Now it's behind just the fact that this offense is just going, and it's just getting to the bucket at will. So, we'll see what happens there in the next game, guys. Again, that next game is going to be against the Cavs. That's going to be Wednesday, December 6th, 7 p.m., so get ready for that one. But tonight's game, all right, against the Nets tonight, 7 p.m. if you want to watch some Magic basketball. Magic are currently 2nd in the East as well, so this will be a great chance for you guys to experience some of that top young talent that is in the NBA right now on a resurging Orlando Magic team. Now, before I wrap this part up, take into consideration one thing, guys. All right, the last team to beat the Magic were the Nets. Okay. So some food for thought for you when it comes to this Magic 9-game win streak. The last team to beat them is the same team that's coming into town right now. All right, so that's what it is, guys. Let's go ahead and get our second break of the evening. When I get back, we'll wrap things up with some college basketball and some NHL, and then I'll send you on your way for the weekend. Thank you guys for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey yo, what's up? It's your man Bishop, the voice of This Is KC Sports, the show where we go over the Chiefs, the Royals, KC Current, Sporting KC, MU, and oh yeah, if we got time, we'll even throw in some of that KU stuff from my people on the 913 side. Come and hang out with us every Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Yeah, sure, that's our guy, Larry B, our leader, the guy who makes it all happen. Shout out to you, Larry, if you're listening. We appreciate you, my man. Now, Georgia just had the ball 3rd and 2, moving in range to try and score. I got to look at the top of this route and see if he's looking at the ball. I don't know. This is a bad call. I don't think that was pass interference. They're on the Crimson Tide. I think that the receiver was trying to come back to the ball and slipped, and that they were hand fighting the whole time. But I don't think that was actually pass interference. The receiver just didn't come down with the ball, and it wasn't the greatest throw by Carson Beck. But usually when calls like this happen, there's usually a turnover that takes place shortly afterwards. So let's see if my prediction will come true or if Georgia will score. But usually when a bad call like that happens, there's like a turnover of some sorts that takes place. No, it looks like that's going to be first and goal at the 1 for Georgia. No, hey. It's usually one of the other guys. This is college football for you. But welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Poole, as your host. And as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, we got one more thing to cover as Georgia rolls into the end zone to tighten the score at a 1-score ball game. 3-point ball game, assuming they make the extra point. Touchdown, Georgia. Mid-4th quarter. The Bolts, guys. The Bolts. Ugh. Inevitably, it was going to come a time where Tampa Bay had to take a break from being one of the top teams in the NHL, right? So, for the record, I don't play ice hockey, but I grew up playing street hockey. That was one of the games that we played a lot. I personally love the game. There's an incredible amount of focus and adrenaline that kind of happens in that game. You got to have IQ as far as where you're at, how to use at the time we played with a tennis ball when we played street hockey, so we played with a tennis ball, but the hand-eye coordination was very important. That's something that seems to still be important, just something that the Bolts seem to be struggling with right now. We're taking a lot of shots, we're not scoring a lot of goals, all right, and defensively it seems like we're just missing something. It almost seems like we're playing every position like 8 on 9. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is, the amount of people that's on the ice. You get what I'm saying? Like, it always seems like we're a person down is the point that I'm trying to make. And, watching hockey it's kind of a thing down here. Like, for the record, so my boss, he's an avid Bolts fan. Obviously, I'm a Bolts fan. My father is too. Shout out to you, Dad. I see you in the comments. But for a state that doesn't experience the terminology surrounded with ice hockey, we do love hockey down here. And the Bolts, we've been supporting them every step of the way each of the last 3.5-4 years. They've been making these absolutely nutty runs for the Stanley Cup Finals. And we knew at some point that it was going to have to start to die down. And after all, it's starting to look like it's officially dying down. The Bolts right now are rocking a 10-10-5 record, not looking very good. They're 5th in the East. It's just, I haven't liked what I've been seeing at all. Okay, so let's just take it from the top. 1, we have no defense, okay? Our defense has been out drinking a little too much of that yak, too much of that cognac, too much of that freaking whiskey, whatever. Not a good look right now for our Bolts. They don't look good at all. It is what it is. Like I said, defensively, we look terrible. Offensively, we have our moments, right? But we look like Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers. Obviously, Tampa Bay Lightning, right? But we look like Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers. Okay, that's the point that I'm making. This team has to figure out who their identity is going to be, and they have to stick to it. They've got to pick something and be good at it. They got to stop trying to do everything because we don't have the roster we had 2 years ago. We don't. All right? So for us to continue to play hockey the way we've been playing is only going to lead us down a narrow, dark passage, which ends in us getting our behinds kicked. Okay? So that's the first thing that's going to have to change. The second thing that's going to have to change is we're going to have to try and stay healthy. Now, I get it. Injuries happen, guys. They happen. But what happened to practicing safety first? Okay? Maybe the team's just not, like doing what they're supposed to do pregame. I don't know what the issue is, but something's got to change, okay? Because we were just 10-6 last week, okay? Now we're 10-10. And that 10-6 was a shaky 10-6, okay? It wasn't like a faithful, we lost the first 3 games, and since then we've been like, 9-3. Like, no. It's not like that. It's very sketchy right now for Tampa Bay. So for this team that looks like they're finally running out of gas after these, Stanley Cup, runs the last 3 years. If they don't want to end up down at the bottom again, they're going to have to find identity and stick with it. Whether it's a great defensive team, which is who we should be theoretically, okay, or a great offensive team, which is something we're capable of doing, just been very inconsistent at. We got to pick one and roll with it and then develop the other half, okay? You don't want to get lost in the sauce, guys. Well, we did lose to the Stars 8-1 today. It was terrible. It was a terrible game. I don't even want to talk about it. I turned it on for like 3 minutes. I kid you not, 3 or 4 minutes. And within me turning on 3 or 4 minutes, they scored immediately. And I was like, all right, I can't. Let me take a break. Let me not do this right here. Alabama goes slant route on 1st and 10, pickup of 20 yards there, just inside their own 50 now, approaching midfield, about to cross midfield here as SEC championship game boils down under 10 minutes. Guys, it's been a really good game, man. Been a really, really good game. If you haven't been watching, you're missing out, guys. 9 minutes, 54 seconds to go. Clock is going to continue. Jalen Monroe playing really good football right now, approaching 200 yards passing. I think he'll get there. Okay, another first down run, or 9-yard gain here on first down, run inside. That's how you beat Georgia, guys. You got to keep them guessing, keep them on their heels, and then strike when the iron is hot. But back to the Bolts, guys. Yeah, losing to the Stars 8-1. Very ugly. Very, very, very ugly game. Definitely the worst loss on the season, in my humble opinion. Stars, though, rocking a really good record, 14-5-3. You come to expect this from a team like that who's been playing at the high levels they've been playing all year long. This is not something that I didn't expect. Same thing with when we played the Bruins. That was where was it 3-game losing streak started, was against the Bruins, and Bruins just playing outstanding football. So this is something that you expect to see from them, or not football, I said football, guys, I'm sorry, hockey. But then same thing on the flip side with the Stars, also playing phenomenal hockey and whatnot. And so that's what led to that decline there, I should say, for the Bolts over the last few games. But next game doesn't get any easier because we're playing the Stars again. That game's going to be Monday, December 4th, 7 p.m. So we get a little break, right? And they got to come back. So hopefully they can get healthy, get settled, get a game plan, and hopefully they can score on the power play, because it's something we did not do in that game, and it's something the Stars did that game, like, all game long. So, let's go Bolts. Let's find our way back into the win column somewhere before we end up sub 500, okay? So, that's what's going on there in the NHL for the Bolts, guys. We love you, Bolts. Get it together, guys. Let's talk about college basketball right now. Still early in the season, so, of course, it's not like I have a whole bunch of great news for these teams, but there is one ranked team coming out of Florida. We'll talk about that team last, but in the meantime, the Gators in the SEC right now, they lost to Wake Forest. Was that game earlier today, or was it yesterday? It might have been today, actually. I think that game was earlier today. It was either yesterday or today, but they lost to Wake Forest 82-71. That game, okay, so that's a little bit more of a blowout. That's not something that the Gators are really accustomed to seeing on the basketball court. But I mean, you get it. Like, Wake Forest, they just have a better team. That was really what it came down to. They just had the better team during that game. So it is what it is. Next game is going to be against the Merrimack. My apologies, guys. That should be a gimme game for Florida. So I suspect that their record will improve to 5-3 after that game. But they're sitting at a 4-3 record right now, and that game is going to come to you in the form of a Tuesday, December 5th, 7 p.m. ball game. So there's going to be a lot of sports in the next few, for over the next week. Just a ton of sports to watch as Jalen Milroe flips the ball over to his wide receiver for a first down gain on 3rd and 2. This kid Bond is absolutely cracked. He's lining up everywhere and catching everything. And way to bail his quarterback out here coming back to the football. Good job, young man. That's how you play football. Jalen, good vision, man. Good vision. So the Gators, though, like I said, 4-3 record. They're not ranked or anything like that. We're not even looking at trying to be ranked. We'll see what happens as we get closer to March, but I don't think that this team is going to go on any type of immaculate run. Although they will play some decent basketball, and they're not really getting blown out or anything like that. So, hang in there, Gators. Our time will come back again, as it once was in the early 2000s. We'll get there soon enough. All right, so let's see what Alabama does with this. First down catch by Bond. He's going to take it. I think he scored. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. To go up 2 scores once again, Alabama 26, Georgia 17. Isaiah Bond, USOB, what a run. Great catch, great vision, great run, and great power there. It looks like he actually might have been short. His knee might have actually come down. Oh, no, it didn't. He extended. No, I think he broke the plane, guys. I think he broke the plane. We'll see what happens, though, because let's see. Pylon cam is showing. Knees not down, knees not down, knees down. Yeah, he might have made that. I'm going to say that was a touchdown. So, Alabama trying to run away with this one. 6 minutes, 40 seconds left to go. They're reviewing that touchdown on the field, guys. So, back to college basketball. The Noles and the Gators already played, first and foremost. Okay, so no basketball rivalry game for the rest of the remaining of the season. They already played each other. But the Noles, they lost to number 17, North Carolina University. Or University of North Carolina, I should say, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's 17th ranked UNC. So, hey, it's okay, Knowles. That's not a bad team to lose to. University of North Carolina, known to be a basketball school. In fact, that's the same school that Michael Jordan went to. He was a Tar Heel, and the Tar Heels actually won the 1993 college basketball Final Four in the most dramatic fashion. For any of you who did not watch that game, UNC was playing Weber and Michigan, and the score was 73-71. Weber dribbles down and calls timeout, but Michigan had no timeouts, and I think there might have been 7 seconds to go in the game. So technical foul, they make the free throws, ball game. Just one of the most dramatic tournament finishes you'll ever see. For any of you who ever want to check that out, go check it out on YouTube. It's absolutely wild finish to that ball game. It was a great ball game for the record. Both these two teams were just going at each other, and a great contrast for the sport as well. So, North Carolina, always been a basketball college. That's no surprise there. 17th ranked. They were able to beat the Noles 78-70. That game took place earlier today. So, Noles, hey, sorry guys, but you're going to have to focus on football for the day. All right, you're going to have to focus on football. The next game, though, is going to be against USF. So Tallahassee's going to be traveling on down here to Tampa Bay. USF is actually right here in my home city of Tampa Bay. The USF Bulls actually play football at Raymond James Stadium, okay, which is obviously the stadium that Tampa Bay Buccaneers play at. So that gives you the range. I actually work next to USF. I pass it every day. And I'm actually all up and through USF all the time. So, a nice little home game there. It's going to have a big crowd. I already know it. I've already been seeing everybody on social media talking about heading to the game. So, FSU, USF, in Florida, in-house ball game there coming to you. That's going to be Saturday, December 9th, 1:30 p.m. So, if you want to check some Florida basketball out, there you go. Perfect chance. Two colleges based right here in Florida. One in North Florida, one here in Central. So, and then the Noles rocking the same record as the Gators. I think they'll be in the same place by the end of these two games as well, in all honesty, because, both these teams are playing pretty much the same. The Gators probably playing slightly better. They won that game earlier this year. So, but, hey, not a whole lot to write home between the Gators and the Noles. Now, the Canes is the best team in basketball coming out of Florida. And as a matter of fact, they're 6-1, okay, and ranked. They're nationally ranked 8th. They lost to Kentucky, it's Kentucky. 12th ranked Kentucky at that, I believe it was. 97-73 or 95-73. Guys, it's Kentucky, all right? Nobody cares. Like, in college basketball, there are some teams that it's okay to just lose to. That's one of them. Okay, Kentucky, Kansas, University of North Carolina, Georgetown, some of these other teams that just happen to do what they do, right? Like, they come in, they'll win a game, they'll shock the world, they'll come in, they'll Cinderella story their behinds off. These teams don't really change all the time. Gonzaga, some of these other teams, you see what I'm saying? Like, that you get used to seeing these teams in the Sweet 16 and in the ladder, okay? So, Miami, low-key doing very well this season. That was their first loss of the season, but it's okay to lose Kentucky, like I said. Next game is going to be against Notre Dame. Oh, my bad. They beat Notre Dame, I should say, to get back into the win column because that Kentucky game was earlier this past week. They were able to beat Notre Dame today, 62-49, pretty handily, if I say so myself. A little bit underwhelming there in the scoring. They usually score a little bit more per game, but a win is a win, right? The next game is going to be against LIU. That's a gimme game. All right, that's a gimme game for Miami. It's going to be December 6th at 7 p.m. So if you want to watch Miami ball out, you're going to get the chance to do that. But basically, you'll actually get the chance to watch all these teams play within a 4-day period because the Gators are going to play December 5th at 7 p.m. Then the very next day, you have the Canes playing at December 6th, 7 p.m. And then 2 days later, you have the Noles playing at December 9th, 1:30 p.m. So don't get that 1:30 time, confused. That's definitely going to be 1:30 early afternoon ball game there. The other games are going to be prime time games at 7 p.m., okay? So if you want to check out some college basketball coming out of Florida, there you go. You're going to have 4 days to do it. 3 games, 4 days, can't beat that, right, guys? So that's what's going on there in college basketball. Shout out to the Canes. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. We're looking forward to see you guys in the Sweet 16 and see if you guys are going to be able to get to the big dance and then take it home from there. That's it, guys. That's everything I got for you coming out of the world of sports today out of Florida. I really thank you guys for joining me on this hour-plus show. I kind of went off on a tangent about a couple of things, but, I hope I was giving you some insight on some things to look out to, some comparisons from past to present, and also just some things to take into consideration moving forward. I'm looking forward to being here same time, same place next week. We're going to talk a lot more, especially with knowing what direction the Buccaneers are going to take after this Panthers game, because like I said, if they lose to the Panthers this week, there's no way Todd Bowles would be head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving forward. But then, like I said, other than that, I'll have everything else locked up for you guys. I can't wait to see you same time, same place. And, of course, there's some words of wisdom, guys. Spend time with your family, guys. I'm always going to stress this every single week I get on here and I say this because time is of the essence. I personally believe we're living in the end times right now. This world is an absolutely insane place. You can get on any social media or any news outlet and just see something that's going to break your heart. Don't take your time, don't take your family and the people close to you for granted. Fix those relationships if you can. Consider this a sign. Okay, whatever it is you're going through, mend it, fix it, move on from it, live life, enjoy your time. Life is short, guys. Spend time with your kids if you have them. I know I'll be spending time with mine. I can't wait to see Junior today. We're going to wrap up this SEC championship game as Georgia gets ready to kick this, or Alabama gets ready to kick this ball off back to Georgia. And I hope you guys enjoyed this week of sports coming up. Like I said, a lot of sports for you guys to check out if you're interested. Until next time, guys, my name has been Corey Pujols. I've been your host for Palm Tree Sports Radio, which is brought to you by IE Sports Radio. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Larry, you're the man. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us. And I look forward to being here next week, same time, same place. Take care. Peace.